round robin and so forth. And we've got some people that are in and cameras off and microphones off, which is perfectly fine. Something that I'll mention here, because this will go out on recording as well, is that, we don't use chat too much in our Saturday Zooms, the chat being the typed chat and for messages. And I might in my segment talk about a book called Brain Energy by Dr. Chris Palmer. And so as I came in this morning, I went ahead and put a link to that book in the chat, so that's there if anybody wants to check out that book. So with that,
what book are we checking out?
This is a book called Brain Energy. It's by Dr. Chris Palmer. And Dr. Chris Palmer is a practicing psychiatrist, also a trying to think of his official capacity. He's like an adjunct professor at Harvard, and he is, I believe, a teaching psychiatrist. So he currently carries, a patient load, but he's also a researcher. And this book, Brain Energy, is a fascinating book about a universal theory of his and some other people in this space, that virtually all mental disorders, anything from, if I could say, kind of a lower level, like an ADD, ADHD type of thing, maybe kids or adults, all the way through the spectrum to, say, schizophrenia, bipolar, the whole gamut, the whole segment of mental disorders is, in this universal theory, is a metabolism issue. It is a I'm trying to think of how to paraphrase this. It's a brain energy issue, and here's the point: is that along with this theory is his theory that so much of it can be solved with proper nutrition, proper food. Okay, and guess what that food recipe, guess what that kind of that genre of suggested types of foods and eating and so forth and nutrition, guess whose program that pretty much follows? Lo and behold, HealthPointe. Actually, and I'll be attending a conference in January, actually Emily and I both, where I believe he's going to be one of the researchers that's going to be speaking. I will say that it's I don't want to say it's categorically HealthPointe, because obviously he doesn't know what HealthPointe is, but in terms of getting the processed foods out of your diet, getting the nutrition in. But what I will say is, our HealthPointe is, broadly speaking, it is it could be defined as therapeutic ketosis. It could be defined as, therapeutic ketosis. What he does with his patients and others do with their patients is they're going into a more kind of a hardcore ketosis, where they're really dropping the sugars and carbs down, typically below 20 net carbs per day, and they're increasing fat, okay, quote unquote healthy fats. But anyhow, that's something that I'll get into in a little bit here, kind of getting down the rabbit hole. all to say that the book Brain Energy by Dr. Chris Palmer, it's a fun read too. You would think this is all super, researchy and stuff like that. And some of the stuff that I may cover today is kind of, researchy type reading and so forth when it comes to the subject of mitochondria, which many of us are familiar with at least some level. But he really makes it an enjoyable read. It's a fascinating book. It's catching a lot of attention. And if you like audiobooks, like on Audible, he reads it himself, and it's a really enjoyable, in my opinion, voice to listen to on such a fascinating topic as our brains. It's pretty fascinating topic when when you think of topics.
Absolutely.
So, well, hey, I think we'll kind of get rolling here. I know it's time to get rolling when I see the beautiful Carol Zampa with the beautiful Sarasota morning blue sky and sunshine. So good morning, Carol.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. We've got a bunch of people in here this morning, some of which may want to be on camera and unmuted, some which may not, but we'll start going around the horn. Always love to start with you, Carol. For those that might be on for the first time or might be watching this on a recording or a clip or something, if you've been introduced to the HealthPointe program, perhaps by watching a 23-minute YouTube video where the narrator, the host of that video, going through the HealthPointe program, explaining the HealthPointe program, the 6-week cycles of the program, that is no other than Carol Zampa. So you might recognize her voice. This is the legendary Carol Zampa that so many have heard and kind of had it as their first introduction to, the how-to, the what is HealthPointe. It's a wonderful 23-minute YouTube that just kind of walks through the basics of the program. So with that, Carol, over to you in Sarasota, Florida, out on your power walk.
Well, good morning, everybody. And yes, it's wonderful. Excuse me, there's a car going by.
Sure.
I am double dutying because I'm going to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and be out the door. I'm going to get my steps in. So this is a great time. If it's possible for you to get your 5 or 10,000 steps or whatever, get a kickstart into the day. You were talking about the 23-minute audio or video, and I love HealthPointe for its simplicity. I love it for its balance. And I love all these studies and stuff. And there's so much information that you can learn today. And, it's so funny because there can be a take on this and a take on that, and a program that accentuates this and a program that accentuates that. And what I love about HealthPointe is it's so basic, it's so balanced, and it's so habitual. It's something that once you create the habit of these healthy habits, and that usually will take a cycle or two, it just works with life. And life has many distractions, and we certainly all experience them week after week. And if we stay focused on our health, whether we're actively losing weight or whether we are in lifetime maintenance, if we stay right on that healthy path, then I think we can learn and grow in our knowledge of our health while still following a very nice balanced program. And that's why I think I love when Eric goes on and does studies and podcasts and stuff. And they're also great. And he helps me a lot of times to refer to certain things for certain people I talk to. I have a family member that's got some intestinal issues, a niece of mine. And, it's nice to be able to go to these podcasts and get some additional information. But I would say from the HealthPointe program itself, the purity and the simplicity and the duplicatability of it just kind of covers all the bases. It covers balanced eating, it covers exercise, not crazy, just good exercise. It covers drinking your water, and it covers your mental detox. It covers your mind, and that's an important area right there. Like some of us are just getting ready to start a mental detox, and that's listening to 21 audios and reading a book for 21 days. And it's kind of fun because it just, again, refocuses you on where you want to go, what you want to do, and have HealthPointe as a real key component to whether it's growing your business, getting it healthy, losing weight, or whatever your situation might be. So I would stay, for those of you that are new, stay very, very close to your coach. This is extremely important to stay accountable and help work through those initial hurdles as you're kind of developing your, we call it a portfolio, your health portfolio of habits. And your coach will help you with that and walk you through it. And as you look back, you're going to say, well, this was pretty simple. I chose this instead of that. I did this instead of that. And it's just a gradual process towards a long-term healthy lifestyle. So that's my little input for today, Eric. I'm back to you.
I love it, Carol. You're one that quite regularly says the quotable Vince Lombardi statement of, gentlemen, this is a football. And I love that because, my temperament is I enjoy, research and kind of going down the rabbit hole on certain topics and so forth like that. And I kind of crave complexity, and hopefully I don't scare off too many of clients and associates that I help with HealthPointe. I hope I do try to digest it and then put it in more simple terms and layperson's terms. Partly for my,
I want to really stress this. Your stuff that you bring to the table is really good, because most of us don't have the time or maybe the energy or whatever to do some of this stuff. So it is great. It is all great. My point was, when you put all of it together, it fits so well into HealthPointe. That was, your stuff is great. It's always well appreciated.
Well, hold that thought, because I'm about ready to go down the rabbit hole, and you might not appreciate it when I'm done. So, no, hopefully this will be fun. So, but no, just getting back to that again, it's really important what Carol is covering here. It's important for all of us. All of us on this call, all of us that might be reviewing this later on a YouTube recording of this Voices of HealthPointe YouTube channel. But that statement, Vince Lombardi, right? We're into football season. In fact, Emily and I will be going to the MSU game later today. Some of you know fellow HealthPointe folks, Dave and Sue McFarland. We're going to be joining them at the game. It's a homecoming. But it's football season, and Vince Lombardi, the legendary coach of the Green Bay Packers, was notable for his quote, where after maybe going through a season, I don't know if it was a win-loss season, how it was or whatever, but he just knew that they had gotten, as an organization, too off in the weeds on this complexity of this play or this zippity doodah type of flea flicker play. And he knew what he needed to do. He brought them all back on the field. He pulled a football out of the bag, held it up in the air, and said, gentlemen, this is a football. Okay. In other words, he needed to bring it down to just a simplicity, the basics of the game, and start them at square one and remind them, gentlemen, this is a football. And Carol says that regularly, and I just love it, because for us to do this program and to do it in a sustainable basis, to do it not just through weight loss, but then to kick into lifetime maintenance and do it for the rest of our life. I mean, Emily and I have been doing, lifetime maintenance for 6 years. I know Carol, many, many, many years. Hank, many, many years. Kathy, I think, 4 or 5 years. Chris and Dave, all of us, so for many years. How do you do that? Do you do that by having this like super complex regimen that you have to, sit down and study every morning to figure it out? No, it's really simple. HealthPointe is very simple, particularly when it becomes habitual. All that said, let's go down the rabbit hole on a fascinating topic. And guys, I wasn't much for like high school biology. I don't know if you guys are chemistry, biology. I know some people geek out about that. That was not my topic of choice. Never really clicked with me. And I'm going to say it really still doesn't click with me. But when we kind of look at the application of things in terms of our own day-to-day activity, our brain activity and so forth, it starts getting pretty interesting. And I start enjoying it a little bit more, and maybe you will as well. I think the first time I ever heard the term mitochondria was through HealthPointe. I think it was at a weekend conference or something. Somebody might have said something about mitochondria, and I was like, whatever, in one ear, out the other ear. Okay. Guys, if you read this book that I'm going to be, going into a little bit here, that I started the Zoom today, Dr. Chris Palmer, it's called Brain Energy. It is largely about mitochondria. Now, let me just kind of give some of us are visual learners. Let me just give a visual on this, and then I'll get into some somewhat boring, but hopefully a little bit fascinating detail as I read some things from the book about mitochondria. Mitochondria, if you picture it, it's what's called an organelle. Okay, an organelle, kind of an interesting term. What the heck is an organelle? Picture the cell. We all can picture a cell as just kind of this, picture it as kind of like this round, I think of it as like a gelatinous ball that's floating around. And organelles are floating, and mitochondria are in the organelle category. There are other organelles inside the cell wall. So inside this bubble, inside this sphere, there are various types of organelles that are kind of free floating around inside the cell. One of those organelles is what's called mitochondria. And mitochondria, as you may, if you knew anything about mitochondria, it's often referred to as the energy producer for the human body. It is what creates our energy, but it's so much more than that. But here's why it's relevant to HealthPointe. Has anybody ever experienced, or has anybody ever heard from somebody who is experiencing, oh my gosh, I've got so much more energy now? Anybody ever hear that?
Sure.
Sure, right? Oh my gosh, my mental clarity, my brain fog, I'm just firing on all cylinders. I think it was someone recently with you, Carol, said, quote unquote, I've got my me back.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and there can be a lot of factors in that, but let's just look at that through the lens of mitochondria, this energy. And forgive me, this is never a good thing to do either from the stage or on a Zoom, but I'm going to actually read from parts of this book from Dr. Chris Palmer, Brain Energy. And let me give the context here. When you read the book, one of the things that makes it enjoyable is that he draws metaphors, comparisons, analogies to this deep science. And he often uses the concept of cars and traffic, because we all driven cars. You sit in a car, you hit the brake, you hit the gas, you turn on your turn signal. You know what it's like to be in the city driving. You know what it's like. And he uses that metaphor regularly and routinely throughout the book as he's explaining these concept, biological principles. So he's talking about, just to kind of give a little bit of a preamble context here, he's just talking about how there's different factors that create the systems in our biology. And so let me just start here. He says, there are many things that make city traffic flow. Okay, here he's not talking specifically about mitochondria yet. He's just talking about traffic. So let's just build the framework here. It says there are many things that make city traffic flow. The different types of roads and highways, the different speed limits on different roads, the stop signs and stop lights. These are all important to the organization and flow of city traffic. But in the end, the true and primary force controlling the flow of traffic boils down to the drivers in the cars. They know the rules and they follow them. They make the cars go. They make the cars stop. They use turn signals. They look out for trouble. They steer the cars around the problems. They drive the cars to their destinations. And even though the drivers don't know what's happening with all the other cars and all the other roads and highways, everything works. Do human cells have quote unquote drivers making the cells stop and go? It turns out they do. The drivers of human cells and human metabolism are called mitochondria, and they are the common pathway to mental and metabolic disorders. Okay, now that's just the framework. You kind of get the concept there. These mitochondria are these drivers of the cell. All right, again, this is going to be a little bit lengthy here. Bear with me, and maybe my assistant will clip this and make it a little bit shorter here. It says, if you've ever taken a biology course, you likely remember that mitochondria are the quote unquote powerhouses of the cell. Mitochondria make energy for cells by turning food and oxygen into ATP. Now earlier, he spells it out. ATP is adenosine triphosphate, okay? But it's just referred to as ATP. Okay, so by turning food and oxygen into ATP. While there's no question that their role in energy production is critical, mitochondria are so much more than powerhouses. Without them, life as we know wouldn't exist, okay? Now, here's some fun stuff. You'll get this next on your trivia questions, okay? Mitochondrial origins. Once upon a time, the first mitochondrion, which is mitochondria is the plural of the single mitochondria, was a bacterium. Researchers estimate mitochondria evolved from an independent living organism sometime between 1 and 4 billion years ago. Now get that, all right? Mitochondria was originating from a bacteria 1 and 4 billion years ago, okay? And he cites a paper. Okay, now I'm just going through some highlights. It says, it explains how this cell basically engulfed, ate this bacteria, but rather than the bacteria dying, it survived and it set up this symbiotic relationship, okay? And it says, instead of the mitochondrion dying after being engulfed, as usually happens, they both live. This new organism is thought to evolve into first, I'm gonna mess this up, eukaryotic. It's a cell with a nucleus, okay? A cell with a nucleus. All right, let's see if we can get out of some of this technical stuff. And it says, thus, before a cell nucleus housing human DNA, before there was other organelles, there was a mitochondrion, a single mitochondria and a single host cell. They were determined to survive, actually not just survive, but thrive. Like all forms of life, they were in it to win it, and win it they did. It was this symbiotic arrangement that allowed for multicellular life, essentially all life that we can see with our eyes today, okay? Now, here's some interesting things about mitochondria. Mitochondria and human cells are now 100% committed to each other. Neither can survive without the other, okay? So think about that. When we talk about feeding the cells, okay, what feeds cells, right? Macronutrients and micronutrients, right? What are we doing? We're eating a certain type of, carbohydrate, fat, and protein. That's the macros. And then through Nutrilite and omegas and so forth. We're getting the micronutrients. This is what's feeding the cells. Here's some fun stuff. Mitochondria are tiny. On average, each human cell has about 300 to 400 mitochondria. Now remember, mitochondria are an organelle. So you've got a cell. You think of a cell, that's pretty small, right? A cell. But inside the cell is about 300 to 400 mitochondria. And there are about 10 million billion mitochondria in the human body. Say that again. There are about 10 million billion mitochondria in the human body. They make up about 10% of body weight, despite their tiny size. So think about that. If you're 200 pounds, about 20 pounds of you is mitochondria. And there's about 10 million billion of those things in you, okay? In metabolically demanding cells, such as brain cells, remember this book is about brain and mental health. So in metabolically demanding cells, such as brain cells, a single cell can contain thousands of mitochondria, with mitochondria making up 40+% of the cell volume. Mitochondria are busy, although small amounts of ATP can be produced without mitochondria through a process called glycolysis. Mitochondria produce the lion's share of ATP, especially for brain cells. In the average human adult, they make about 9 times 10 to the 20th ATP molecules every second. One group of researchers looked at brain cells using specialized imaging techniques and found that a single neuron in the human brain uses about 4.7 billion ATP molecules every second. Now just think about that. We're all thinking thoughts right now. That all takes brain, that all takes neurons in the brain. In the human brain uses about 4.7 billion ATP molecules. This is producing basically 4.7 billion units of energy every second. All right, metaphorically and literally, that just blows my mind. That's it for my little segment on mitochondria. Guys, it might not be the last you'll hear of mitochondria from moi, because I love this topic. I'm doing a lot of research on it. I mentioned I'm going to be going to a conference, and it's just, if you can get your mitochondria healthy, which is what we do, right, in HealthPointe fundamentally, along with losing weight, along with dialing in blood sugar and help, all of that comes to this function of this little tiny organelle that makes up 10% of our body weight and is the source of literally all our energy. In fact, I'll end with this. I don't know if this was in the book. I think this was in another paper or a podcast that I was listening to give you an idea of how critical it is to have healthy mitochondria. It's good to look at like what happens if they are really unhealthy, right? Because you can have a slow decline in health, a slow decline in any term, but certainly mitochondria. And maybe you get symptoms, and maybe you're not very energetic. Maybe you got brain fog. Maybe you've got this or that going on, but you just kind of live with it, and you just say, oh, whatever, I'm just getting older or whatever. Let's take it to an extreme. What if mitochondria are made extremely unhealthy? What happens? Well, I'll give you an example of that. We've all heard of a poison called cyanide, right?
Right.
Oops. So what the cyanide does, and whether it's in a movie or something else, we've seen where when people have take cyanide, they die within seconds, right? What that is doing, that is a poison that directly shuts down. Oh, I think I might have just lost my connection here. Let me see here.
You're good.
Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, I've got 2 devices going here, and one of them just shut down, but I guess the other one's going. That's why you have a backup, right?
Yep.
anyhow, we've all seen those movies, those spy movies where, maybe it's James Bond or something like that. And the spy gets caught, and then he's got this cyanide pill that he bites in his teeth. And then I don't need to describe the scene. It's kind of graphic, but they're dead within seconds, right? And that's a cyanide pill. What that is doing is, this isn't an exact description, but it's basically shutting down the function of your mitochondria, and boom, you're dead. So do HealthPointe, have happy little mitochondria, and life will be good. Okay. Let's bring it back to happy times. Let's not talk about cyanide and death pills and stuff like that. Let's talk about, eat your fruits and vegetables and protein, stay away from the nasty processed food, eat your double X and omegas and good probiotics, drink lots of water, have happy little mitochondria, and then enjoy life. Okay, with that happy tone, I yield the floor and turn it back over to anybody that wants to chime in here. Larry, I think I heard you earlier. Larry, are you interested and available and commenting? If so, go ahead and unmute and unmic. There you are. All right. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Eric. While we are thinking about doing some things to work with our minds and the way that we're thinking, this subject is going to be something that we can take information from. I feel smarter already, okay? I haven't even read the book, okay? But I feel smarter already. But yes, Eric, the way we think is so important. And like you said, going back to the fundamentals are always something. I used to coach different sports, and you always have to go back to the fundamentals. And in this program, it's good to know the fundamentals, to use the fundamentals to help us develop the program and to develop the skills that we need within it. And as we learn those, then we're able to share those with other people. And that is such a good thing. And thank you, Eric, for sharing the other information, because you get us on subjects that I hadn't even thought about before, but that information becomes very valuable. Sometimes when you're working with clients and they ask you for other things, it's good to have this information. This is information sometimes that personally, I'm glad you're doing it, Eric, because personally, usually I don't research that information as well as you did, but I do like to have that information to share with people that I'm working with to help them be healthier and to have success with our program. So, hey, that's all I had to add to the conversation. Thanks a lot, Eric. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Larry. And I feel emboldened to be getting positive commentary from a teacher like Larry, a retired teacher, both with classrooms as well as on the athletic field. So thank you, Larry. Great stuff. Appreciate all you always have to offer. In fact, something that you mentioned last week was some transparent commentary regarding journaling and food journaling and that component of the HealthPointe program. So we still want to kind of unpack that some more as well. But we are going to go around the horn a bit here. Again, if anybody ever wants to speak, you can press a little hand raising thing on your screen, and it raises a hand, and that will cue me up to know that you're good with it. But I'm going to go to Billy, and then, as I call her, the step queen, Kathy. But Billy, we always get our Texas weather report from you. I know you guys went through some crazy hot weather. I have no idea how it is literally down on the ranch. You've got a ranch there in Texas, you in Maryland. And so how you doing? How's Texas this morning?
Good morning. How's everybody? I hope everybody doing fine. Texas doing good. The weather and cool off. It used to be up into 110, 114, 15. Now I got down to around 95, 98, something like that. So yeah, cool off a whole lot. As you can tell the difference. But anyway, this morning, glad to be on this call. And you made a statement. I don't know too much about that subject, and I would like to learn more about it. And that's a good book. I like to learn more about them books. I hear Nancy Dunham said one time, said when she go to be with the Lord, they're gonna need some books up there. And I noticed that since I've been in the Amway and HealthPointe and learning more from Hank Zappa and Carol and Aaron and all the rest of you all, that these books is very, very powerful. But Aaron, you said a statement this morning that came to my attention. You said that, have anybody ever heard, ever said, ever had a thought that seems like I'm getting more and more energy, I feel more energetic? Well, I was thinking about that and I said, yeah, I do. I remember for the last 3 or 4 years, lately, I seem like I just been sort of hungry just for more information and more books and more the environment. I don't want to miss nothing. And in fact, I went to the VA maybe about 4 years ago. She made a statement to me that really got me teed up. She told me that my cholesterol was out of whack and that she needed to put me on some medication. And she know they'll put me on a medication because I told her, no, let me work on billing. So I said, I've been had that energy for a long time now. I just seem like I want my vitamin, I want the perfect water, I want everything. In fact, this week I had a phone call. Well, last week I sold a case of water. Well, I helped some people with the help, so they wanted some of that perfect water. And this week, about a month ago, I sold another. After I came from the conference, I sold another case of water. But we helped the lady and her father get the water. But she called me this week, and she was on that computer this week trying to get that perfect water herself. But she had to get the number from me too, so she can get that water order. So I find myself that she getting hungry, and they want to take help, and I just hope that she will continue to want to continue to buy the water and feel good. That's all I got to say this morning, Aaron.
Oh, it's great. And you know, one of these days, the rest of us will feel in line with Billy when we too can say that it's cooler now because it's 95 degrees out. My gosh, you guys are hardcore there in Texas. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for that, Billy. Yeah, that perfect water. I know there's a recording out there where Hank Zampa goes through a lot of the details of that product, that oxygenated water. And so that is great. It's awesome. It's really a great product. So Step Queen Kathy, would you care to share this morning?
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, when he was saying that it got down to 95, I thought, oh goodness, he might need to grab a jacket. He might be too cold. But yes, so always appreciative to hear of your positive outlook regarding the weather, Billy. I mean, I know you're like, oh yeah, it was really hot. It was like 114, like it was like nothing. And I would be like, oh my God, 114. So, it gets like 90 here. And it's like, oh Lord, so, but anyway, enough about that. So Step Queen, today is 1 year, 176 days going strong. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, and if you remember a couple weeks ago, I had told you about the gal at work that I saw that she wanted me to keep her, to kind of just like boost her up and get her to start walking. And she was going to email me and she hadn't. Well, Wednesday, she walked by my area and I'm like, Rosalind, she goes, I know, I haven't given you my number. Give me some paper right now. So I gave her my number and I said, all right, I said, I'll text you. I said, like I said, there's this video about the benefits of 10,000 steps. And then I shared with her about our HealthPointe community. So I told her I would send her the link to the video on my lunch hour. And then I would send her the link for our community. So I did send it to her last night. I don't see she's on yet, but she was kind of a little bit interested in it. So I was happy that, like, at least as soon as I told her, I'm like, I've been meaning to email you too, but things have just been busy. She's like, oh, I know. So, hopefully I can continue to help her on her journey. We'll see where it goes. But
awesome.
yeah, that mitochondria, that's pretty interesting, and like you say, I mean, the amount of cells that are there that it takes for your brain to do anything. I mean, it's amazing that any of us can do anything with it needing that many cells just to think, so
Yeah.
thank goodness for, perfect water and good nutrition and everything that HealthPointe does provide for us, so, and yes, I agree with Larry and everybody else. Thank you, Eric, for being the quote nerdy type and wanting to check into this, because again, we can all benefit from it, and that's the greatest thing about our whole community is, and to quote one of my favorite quotes from Terry Andrews, we're happy, healthy people helping people be happy and healthy. So that's just another way to, kind of circle that through, with everybody bringing something different to the table, so, I mean, I guess, the thing that I bring to the table is my quote unquote step queen, how I get them done no matter what, and it goes back to, like the whole thing, gentlemen, this is a football, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Whatever it is, just get down to the basics and do it, so that's what I've really been trying to focus on in lots of different areas in my life lately. So I'm definitely looking forward to the mental detox challenge that we're doing as a team. So I know that will help a lot, and that's going to boost all of our mitochondria. So at least,
Yes.
we're going to be boosted in mitochondria. And now, thanks to you, Eric, we know what will benefit from that directly. So that's all I have
Awesome.
today.
Hey, could I get you to repeat that Terry Andrews?
Oh, Terry's quote? Sure.
Yes.
I mean, ever since she said that, I've kind of like tried to keep that in the back of my head as my mantra. So we are happy, healthy people helping people be healthy and happy.
I love it. Wow, I love it. That is so like Terry Andrews, isn't it?
It is. It totally is.
Formulate that. It's a little bit of a how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood type of a thing.
Right. And I've actually when I've shared our program with some people, I've told people that, and I'm like, hey, no worries. We're just happy, healthy people trying to help people get healthy and happy. If you're interested, just let me know, so, I've used it in that respect because it's true. I mean, it is really what we're doing. We're building community and we're trying to help people have better lives all the way around. And when you have a better life, you're healthy and happy.
That's right
I
on,
love how you
Kathy.
connect with people.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. With that,
Just look at her smile. Just look at her smile. You couldn't pass her by. By the way, Terry Andrews says hi to everybody. Got a text from her, I think it was yesterday, and she's happy and healthy, and so is Bob, and they're enjoying life. So just wanted to share that with you since Terry Andrews came up.
That is awesome. That is great. And yeah, I that is such a great phrase. We are, like, it's, I might be blaming Terry Andrews if the next person that asks me what I do and I say, and I'm trying to think of it, and I say, Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers or something. I'm like, wait a second, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck? Or wait a second, we are happy people. So I'll get it figured out. But if I fail miserably, I'll just go into my corner with my book and read about mitochondria and
just tell them about mitochondria. It'll all be good.
It all works. The important thing is opening the mouth, right?
Say, I don't know if you're going to be happy or healthy, but we got all this little mitochondria in us, and if you get healthier, you're going to be so much better off. Just trust me.
Put smiley faces on the mitochondria.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I tell you,
all 4 billion of them.
Right. We'll either have people just like massively confused, but hopefully healthy. And we'll go. I'm going to make a quick comment on something, kind of piggyback there on some of these topics, and certainly what Kathy is talking about. And then we'll go to David and Marilyn. You are welcome to be on or off, camera on or off. Microphone, but I'll go from David to Marilyn, and then Marilyn, and then Corey's on here. Corey, awesome. So we'll go to Corey, and then perhaps Emily and Hank. So real quickly, I just wanted to say, Kathy, you were talking about how people watch. Oops, just left my earbud there. You're saying when people watch you and make note of things, guys, we're reminded of that again. So help someone get started on HealthPointe this week. And I actually don't know where it occurred, but I've had interactions with this person before, and just know that anytime, either on a business card or in conversation, or maybe, we don't want to be like spammy, posty people on Facebook, but sometimes it's, it's helpful to, hey, how about letting people know what you do, right? I've been very poor at that. Sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea you do that, or, on either of my businesses. And it's because I just fail at ever, advertising it or letting anybody know. And then when they find out, they're like, oh my gosh, I need help with this or help with that. And I think it could have been from a Facebook post. I'm not sure, but this person, just because, somebody doesn't pick up on it right away, let's realize that when it comes to health, particularly if somebody is on the prediabetes or diabetes spectrum, if things don't change, that's going to progress. Okay. Right. All things being equal, it's going to progress. And so what happened with this individual is, however she heard that I was in this space of helping people that are pre-diabetic or diabetic, help people lose weight, help people get healthier. I don't know where she heard of that, but it was some time ago. All I know is that because of a particular checkup with her doctor and some particular things that were said to her, now it was very important. It might have been kind of important, but not to the point where she reached out to me. But after this progression and this news, now she, like literally, there was some of us that were at this event midweek up by our cottage, and she just kind of grabbed my arm and said, hey, Eric, just real quick, aren't you in that, don't you do something where you can help people with blood sugar and so forth? And I said, yeah. I said, as a matter of fact, how can I, what can I do for you? And she's like, blah, 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 gave me the lowdown, and boom, we went through she looked at Carol's 23-minute video and then had a Zoom with me, and she's getting started and she's going to do great. I'm so excited for her and her health goals. And she said, I asked her, I said, this is not going to be a hard program, but at the same time, it's not, you're not going to just roll out of bed and have everything fixed. This is a 6-week cycle. I'm going to help you develop healthy habits. And I think you'll find it, once you establish those habits, it's going to be quite easy. However, in those moments of decision, it's important to know why you're doing this. So why are you doing this? Why? What's your why? What do you want? And she says, I don't want to get older, and I can't help but getting older, but don't want to get older and as a diabetic. Okay. And because she knew, she just went through the details of what can happen with diabetes, everything from neuropathy to amputation to eyes and all kinds of health issues. She was aware of that. Her doctor made her aware of that type of stuff. And so she says, I don't want to get old and diabetic. So my point is that as we're all out there as examples, Kathy, the step queen, people at work, seeing her walk and asking her what her doing, advertise it, say what you do. And some people will be like ready to have the conversation right then. Other people, it might be weeks, months, or years later. But if they remember that you're a coach in this space, remember 1 out of 3 Americans, technically are in this category to be looking for help, looking for a way out, looking for a resolution. So just keep that in mind. All right, that's my little additional segment. And
Eric, can I do a quick tag on that? Because I think
Yes.
what you said is so valuable. Just where your business, wherever you are, be there, as Hank always says. But also think about many people are not maybe necessarily ready to do the HealthPointe program per se, but they are looking for more health. And so sometimes a little segue or a little halfway point, a little half house is to get them on the double X and omegas and the organic protein powders, the things that they're going to do anyway with HealthPointe, get them on that healthy eating. And I'm thinking of a gal I talked to a few months ago, and she was not necessarily looking for a weight reduction program, but she was interested in hormones and getting healthy. And she was under a lot of stress. And so we put her on the double X and well, she actually volunteered for it, the double X and the omegas, the protein powder, the organic, and the focus. And just amazing how much it helped her health. So she's not necessarily on the HealthPointe program yet, but she certainly is, getting all that nutrition in, and then it's just a step away from showing her how she can follow that cycle like you did with Erica. They didn't have very much weight to lose and then move into being a coach. So, there's a little halfway point there too, sometimes if a person isn't ready. So didn't mean to interrupt you, but it made me think of that.
Great stuff. No, and also, a spouse or somebody else in the household, they can be on HealthPointe, just not on weight loss. It's the same food, it's just more quantity, for the most part. So that, along with your taking their nutrition, if a spouse is not interested in weight loss or they don't have a blood sugar issue, they can eat along the method of the macronutrients like their spouse that is going on the program. And that way they're supportive, or they're all on the same page. It's just their quantity is different primarily. That's primary different, but they can still get all the double X and omega and really have the benefits of HealthPointe, just not the weight loss. So great stuff. Thank you, Carol. David, if you're still there, love to hear any commentary.
Who's up?
Yeah, David, if you're there.
Oh, yeah. Again, Eric, great stuff. You're greatly appreciated. I had an experience with a person who went on a trip, and the trip was good. The problem was, before the trip, it was sold to be way more magnificent, and then what the trip actually turned out to be. And so all I know is, as I listen more and more to Eric and Steve, Beber and others, I just know that if people go deeper into HealthPointe, it gets better and better.
Man, darn it, Dave, another quotable quote. My assistant loves you.
and then, I don't know if I'm a psychologist, but I kind of come from the psychology part of the brain. And so I recently was talking with a mom whose son's having some performance issues in school, second grader, and is sick to some degree, not wanting to go to school and whatever. And so she's talking again about performance and some of the things that she's doing. And I did strive to do a really good job of listening to all the things that she was doing. She was doing a lot of good things, but then I'm from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so I brought her all the way down to physiological and talked a little bit more about what he eats. And so one of the things that I think she's agreed to, this was just yesterday, so to try, is the child's probiotic immunity pack. And let's get this little kid's gut into a better place and see if that doesn't affect his brain and all the other things as well. And so as most people who know me know, I'm really big into, teachers often want kids to perform and they don't go deep to find out where the problem is. Could be physiological. Does the kid feel safe in school? Does the kid feel accepted, and those things? But anyways, just a reminder that sort of what Eric has talked about, it gets down to physiology, and what we put in our bodies determines a lot about the output that we get. Thank you.
Great stuff, David. Yeah, and for those that may know, yeah, David's got a really fascinating background with, helping, children, young children, special needs. And it's fascinating to me to understand how, as he says, he approaches it from a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's tough to try to help somebody with that top of that needs pyramid if the base foundation is not there or not stable. And so he's just a really fascinating, skilled individual in that arena, and that applies to all of us for sure. So we will move along here to Marilyn. If you care to chat at all, you're welcome to. We'll do a kind of a pregnant pause here if you care to chat. If not, we'll move on to probably Corey, but a little pregnant pause for Marilyn. Going
Yep,
once.
I'm here.
Oh, good morning, Marilyn. Good morning, Marilyn.
Hey,
All right.
I just walked this entire hour. I don't
Oh,
believe it.
Whoa! Congratulations, Marilyn.
Way to
That's
go. You're on your way
fabulous.
to 10,000 a day every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do get 10,000. It just takes me a little longer. I probably pretty much closer now.
It's all right.
Doesn't matter how long it takes. It's just doing it.
Do it.
Yep. I met Eric through a shirt, actually.
This shirt,
he
guys.
had the shirt, yeah.
Yes.
So that's how I met Eric. I was asking him questions about it because I am diabetic, pre-diabetic, I guess, maybe now. But I'd like to know how the mitochondria is affected during chemo, since I just went through that for a year, and I'm now on my maintenance for chemo, and I do get it every 6 months. Wonder how that affects mitochondria.
Ooh, that is
There's a loaded question.
Yeah.
You came out with a
I'm
zinger,
glad
Marilyn.
Eric has time for research.
I got to tell you, this is, I don't know Marilyn very well, but I will tell you, this is par for the course for Marilyn. In my little bit of, conversations that I've had with her, I was like, wow, this woman is uber smart, and so.
Back to the books.
Oh my God.
Right now I'm studying tax law, so hey.
Yeah. She's like, I know her as this bookkeeping and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I find out that weren't you also in nursing as well? I mean,
yes. I was a nurse.
So, I mean, I stopped the conversation at that point because I knew the third thing that she was going to tell me is that she was like an aerospace engineer, and I was just going to be like, come on.
No, not that. But pretty nerdy.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's a good question. I don't know the answer. I'm actually not through the book, so he may address it, or it could be something that comes up, when we're at the conference. Where he'll be speaking. There'll be many speakers on just metabolic health, but he's kind of a keynote. If I was just to venture a guess, and that would be, absolutely just a guess. My guess would be that it's probably not doing good things to the mitochondria, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Now, here's the thing. We know it's actually pretty amazing how many cells, and therefore mitochondria. Remember, there's tons of mitochondria, these organelles within a cell, and we all know about. I mean, literally, as we're doing this walk and talk. I mean, don't freak out, guys. But I mean, we're losing a lot of cells as we speak, and therefore a lot of mitochondria, right? Skin cells, for example, we're constantly shedding skin cells, but we're just blowing through, regenerating cells, constantly, and therefore mitochondria are coming and going. But, alcohol, for example, if, a lot of people have heard or know that, drinking alcohol, particularly if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, that kills a lot of cells, brain cells. Okay. And the body can take those kinds of hits. It's part of the regeneration, but if you whether it's alcohol or chemo, again, I don't know the effects of it. I'd be interested myself, so I'll do some research on that for sure. But my guess would be that probably killing, an inordinate amount of them. But, the question on that, for not for me, for your doctor, for your oncologist is, what is the balance here? The benefit of the chemo versus the detriment of the chemo, whether it be mitochondria and so forth, because there are a lot of pharmaceuticals that are very helpful, but they can do some other ancillary damage in the process. So, but sometimes that's it's kind of necessary to get the outcome. But man, oh man, coming in firing Maryland. Wow. First time on Walk and Talk, unmuted. I think the last time you were on, you guys were up in the northern Michigan and in and out of cellular connection, and now you come in and just come out firing. So no, we'll do some research on that. It'll be fun. Any other comments or questions, Marilyn? No. Hey, is it anything like chill conversational stuff, like how's the weather today or anything chill like that? Or no.
Well, I'm not getting eaten alive by mosquitoes today. Must be too cold for them.
True. Great stuff. Well, thank you, Marilyn. Thank you very much, and great to have you on here. We're going to move along to Corey, if you care to unmute, and then Emily, if you care to unmute, and then Hank. We'll kind of bring it home with Hank here. So good morning, Corey. See you, Corey.
Good morning. Hey,
All
great
right.
to see everybody. Good morning. You're having a great time. We're actually soon to be headed out to a church event where they're having like Olympic Day, they call it. Olympic Day, where they're competing against other churches in sports and like basketball. So it'll be a great time to, get some people introduced to, healthy lifestyles and things like that. So they've got all kind of games prepped and ready for that. So it's just always amazing seeing more and more people continue to take health seriously, and just to be able to, take that initiative, especially when we have, in our hands, like hearing Eric, hearing everybody is inspiring, to really buckle down and get things in the gear. I was just speaking with another friend of ours. He's a young guy. He's a real sharp guy. And he's a business-minded guy. I think he does some stocks and trading, things like that. And he doesn't have a lot of weight to lose. He just wants to shed a few pounds. He's not a big frame guy at all. But I just spoke with him yesterday. He's away in the Philippines, and I'm not sure he'll be back to the States soon. And so I talked to him a little about what we were doing with nutritional health and just some nutritional ideas. He had shared me some goals that he wants to do. Attain personally for himself, and so he mentioned just wanting to lose, shed a few pounds, take multivitamins, and trying to get everything in his health kind of to rebalance different things there. So he named a few different things there. So once he gets back into the States, we're gonna be getting some things together because I reconnected with him on Facebook. So we shared some voicemail messages at the time. So we'll give him a call once he gets back in. He went to school with us when I was in Michigan up there. So he's always been like a guy that's really serious about health, serious about business, his faith and things like that. So definitely want to help him get started because I'm still sore from the other day, at the gym, getting some weights and things like that. And I'm glad to be able to have some different things like, the Nutrilite products, the E-Spring, of course, the water, is always great to filling our bottles up. Nika and I, we always go to bed. We always like to have our water bottles filled up E-Spring water. Before we wake up, drink a little bit after we sleep. After we wake up, we drink a little bit of E-Spring water, and then before we go to bed, we drink a little E-Spring water. And even through the night, we wake up, we keep hydrated. That's really important. Keeping that water base as we move around and keep our bodies moving, because our bodies are over 77%. With water, filled with water. So we always need that to help us move and do our daily activities and stuff like that. So it's always very key and important. I always try to tell young kids, your nieces and nephews, they just drink a lot of water, because a lot of times they like to just drink juice and things like that. But we are always glad to have healthy alternatives like East Spring water, especially on the little niece. She gets the East Spring, she tries it and says, "Oh, let me turn it on and put it on," and push the button. And she's like, "Yeah, so we're almost done. We're almost needing a filter. We got to get order a filter soon because we're almost out for the year for the filter for the East Spring." So it's about time for us to get another order of that. But I'm just glad to keep and get some things going and keep healthy as we mature. You know, Hank's looking great at 90 years old. Everybody's looking Carol. Everybody's looking great as we mature in our age and stuff. And we want to keep up and be like you are when we grow up.
We do. We all want to be like Hank and Curl for sure. Well, that is great. That is super great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm glad for Dave and Larry has been keep helping, keep me getting information and things like that. And I'm glad to have you guys and just see you guys. And I look forward to being able to do those same things as I get closer to you guys' age.
We all do. Well, thank you so much, Corey. And man, that event today with the churches, I love that, by the way. To have the churches doing something, I guess instead of getting together and having an ice cream social and hot dogs and stuff like that, to get together and have a kind of an athletic event is, boy, that's really great. So awesome, yes. Corey, and all the best with your new contact there. I'm sure, he's going to be in great hands with you. So that is so great. Thank you again. And we're going to move around the horn here to Emily, if she cares to. For the record, by the way, last week when we were at the cottage and I said, hey, I could just go downstairs, and see if she was available. I could see that she was unmuting, but there was just something up with her phone and it wasn't working. So we missed her last week, even though she was trying to speak. And I'll see if we're back in Williamston now. We're not at the cottage. So Emily, if you're there and want to chat, you're welcome to now.
Sure. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Emily.
Good morning. Thanks
morning,
so
Emily.
much good morning. Thanks so much for sharing. As usual, I really enjoy this forum. Maybe I am biased because my hubby is hosting this, but it's really enjoyable. I just want to share a couple testimonials regarding HealthPointe. To Carol's point, HealthPointe is more than just weight reduction. When I started this journey with Eric in 2017, I didn't have a ton of weight to lose. But I was thinking, what is going to do for me? We tried it out, and my gosh, great result.
Yes.
I lost 5 pounds, and I kept it up to now after 8 years. But more than that, my body fat reduced from 30% to now is 18%.
Whoa.
And I tried to get rid of, try to lower my body fat. And back then I worked with personal trainer and I paid a ton of money and I just couldn't get my body fat down. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, 1/3 of my body is fat, and HealthPointe really helps. It works. A second thing that it works for me is my menopause. I went through menopause really early, and as women out there going through this, knowing hot flash is the killer, and eating healthy HealthPointe is amazing. It really amazing. Eating vegetable, fruits, and avoid much sugary fried food and all that. It helps so much. And also the third thing that helped with this for me is the habit. When I started this HealthPointe program, I said, my gosh, I cannot get rid of rice because I grew up with rice. I ate rice 3 times a day. every time I mention to my sister, say, hey, let's get on the HealthPointe, and they all say this, even today. No way, I'm not going to give up rice. I cannot do this program. Rice, is essential and I love it. But you know what? I couldn't remember last time I had rice, and I don't miss it anymore. And that is amazing. I could not believe that our taste buds can change like that. So yeah, that's few things that HealthPointe does for me. So I'm very grateful for this program. Thank you.
I'd like to compliment you, Emily. We don't address the body fat enough, and sometimes we look at the figure on the scale. And when you said you dropped your body fat from 30% to 18%, and I know how tiny you are, so any weight you lost was not necessarily weight you needed to lose, but you transformed your body. And you transformed your body that not only affected your body weight, but your whole menopausal situation. What a great testimonial. And then when you threw in about the rice, because many times people will be, I don't want to say addicted to, but in love with a specific product that is not on the HealthPointe eating plan, for weight loss. And, it's hard for them to change. And you made the choice to change from one thing to another. And now you don't even notice it. Those are key, powerful points you just brought out that sometimes we overlook talking about. So thank you from Carol.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. Boy, I tell you guys, she's my little mitochondria. She is my little powerhouse. Emily is, for those that don't know, Emily's my wife. Okay, so I get to live with this little mighty mitochondria powerhouse that she is, and she is just on the rice topic, as we're introducing HealthPointe to some people, whether they're a foodie or maybe a certain ethnicity, I mean, I'll hear them out, but as I'm like, you're not going to get anywhere with me with this. I've got to eat this kind of a food or whatever. I said, I'm married to a first generation Vietnamese where rice is not just a food, it's a culture. And so if she can do it and her and I together can do it, don't talk to me about your Snicker bar addiction, right? Or your
Amen.
I've got to have my Wonder Bread or whatever. Okay, so I said, or I'll sit you down with my wife and she'll set you straight.
Give her a what for?
Yeah. So thank you so much, Emily. That's awesome. It always is. So Hank, if you are available, hey, here's Hank. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning, guys. How's everybody doing? You talked about a favorite subject about, I'm going to quote the old philosopher Hippocrates, who was the father of medicine, right? And he states, we become what we eat. Remember that. We become what we eat. And that's so true. I was raised on bread and pasta in the Mediterranean, okay? And I thought I could never give up bread. Well, I gave up bread some time ago. Made a huge difference. So just want to share that with you. But since we're talking about that, I was going through our Amway website. You go to the Resource Center, and there's a catalog there that I need to bring back out to all of you called Feeling Good Tastes Guts. Let me show you the picture. Let me see if you see it. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Go into that. And I went through it and I took some pictures. And the one thing I want to talk about is the prebiotics and probiotics. And because that's what one part of my morning rituals, those are the two tubes that we have in a container. One of them is called fiber powder, and the other one is called Balance Within Probiotics. Now, I did not realize that the fiber powder is the prebiotics. And what do prebiotics do? It's important to understand that. Prebiotics are takeout for your gut. The indigestible parts of foods you eat that bacteria in your gut actually need to stay alive and healthy, they feed the good bacteria in your gut, prebiotics. But the fiber acts like a cleaning crew for your gut by grabbing onto things that don't need to stay in your intestines and carry them out of your body. Okay? So you need to combine the two. I combine the two in about 6 to 8 ounces of water every morning. The fiber tube, and then the balance within, because the probiotics, what the balance within is this: continually use daily helps promote digestive comfort and regularity for the whole family. So it's the probiotics that's in the balance within feeds on the prebiotics. That's why you combine them together in the water. And I take mine in water so they become more effective, and makes a huge difference, made a huge difference in my system when I started doing that. I did not know about that, but there's so much great information in that little book. Here's another picture from that book. Can you all see that?
We can, yes. Yep.
Okay. And I took a lot of pictures, a lot of good information in that little book. Look at this picture.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Fastest growing.
70% of our immune system is within our gut. Amazing. And the stuff we dump in our bodies today, and what's scary, some of the stuff that's in foods today, so many chemicals and pesticides and all those things that they put on our fields. That's why the beautiful part of Nutrilite, we don't use any of that pesticides or herbicides whatsoever. And the beautiful part of Double X has in it from the plants that's used to make the Double X with as what's called micronutrients. And micronutrients are vital in your system. Any other vitamins you buy in the stores don't have the micronutrients that we're talking about. So your body's not getting the micronutrients it needs. Okay. And that's why people eventually start to become sick and so on and so forth. So again, the top of Double X, the beautiful part, Double X got all those micronutrients in it. And there's everything else that we need in our system. And I want to leave you with this last quote. I read one the other day. It says, we look at trees that have been around for 70, 80, 100 years or more, and we make the statement, oh, they're still growing. We need to say that about people. We're not getting older. I love what Corey said, mature. Thank you, Corey. I love to use that term already. People say, are you getting old? I said, no, I'm just getting more mature. We are still growing. I don't care what age you are, as long as you're feeding your body the right materials. Okay, guys? So that's my saying for today. I hope it helps. You got get into that little booklet. It's got loaded with information about your gut. Take care of your gut. Let's start to take care of you. Good to talk to all of you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Hank. Boy, I think that is a great wrap on today. 70% of our immune system is in the gut, and hearing that from someone that just recently celebrated their 9th decade, 90 years old, and sharp as a tack. Hank discloses this as well as Carol does. Don't take any pharmaceuticals, any medications. They're super healthy. Carol's always out on her power walk, and they're sharp as a tack, and so. Doesn't get any better testimonial than the example, right, of Hank and Carol. So thank you so much to everyone. I think that'll be a wrap on today's Saturday Zoom. It's been wonderful. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their Saturday. Same time next week, same place. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Have a great week.